What makes you afraid? What makes you want to avoid something because of the consequences of what might happen in the future? How do you overcome these fears and step outside your comfort zone? I want to share with you my moment that put me on this red dot today. Let's go back to Adelaide, Australia in 1992. I've entered a public speaking competition run by one of my local clubs. The rules are you must prepare and deliver a 6-minute talk. And as of today, I've got no idea what I spoke about. What happened next was they would hand you an envelope, and inside that envelope would be a topic. You'd have to deliver that topic unprepared and unrehearsed. Imagine if I turned up today not knowing what I was going to talk about. A presenter's worst nightmare. I ripped open the envelope, and inside the piece of paper read that your heroes have let you down. How could I possibly develop a 4-minute talk about something that would be exciting and interesting? Then I hit on it. The Muppets. The Muppets were my heroes. Cookie Monster, Kermit and Grover had taught me about shapes, numbers and colours. But as many of you, I'm sure, are aware, over time, you found out they weren't real. My heroes had let me down. Surprisingly, I actually filled the full 4 minutes with this talk. But something remarkable happened at the 30-second mark. I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about it now. I realised I'd overcome my fear of public speaking. I'd stepped outside my comfort zone, and I was really, really enjoying it. Fast forward 20-something years and literally hundreds of presentations around the world to thousands of people, this is my 3rd TEDx. I still get nervous because of the calibre of speakers you've heard today. And right now, I'm literally outside my comfort zone. But I think social media today is making it much easier for people to promote what they're doing. But at the same time, I think social media is allowing us to literally hide behind our screens and live in the now and not think about the future. We're all aware of this concept of a comfort zone. In fact, the concept was developed back in 1908 by a psychologist called Robert Yerkel. He looked at the study of mice, and by stimulating mice up to a certain point, they would perform up to a level called optimal anxiety. Beyond there, they'd be too stressed to perform, and their performance would drop. It's a bit like when someone tickles you. At first it's nice, and then after a while, you've just got to stop because you can't stand it anymore. I think the problem, though, is that young people of today are living in the now. You're not thinking about where you might be in the future, and you're not thinking about future performance. You want instant gratification. The subject of delayed gratification was something that was discussed back in the late 1960s by a psychologist from Stanford University. He looked at an experiment called the marshmallow experiment. Here he would give preschool children a marshmallow and promise them another one if they would wait 20 minutes before eating it. How does that impact us as adults? Let's replace the marshmallow with a status update. Could you wait 20 minutes to check your phone after that first status message comes in, or would you look at it straight away? Do you want instant gratification, or are you able to look to the future to see what might happen? Pictures like this still amaze me as someone who's been around since before social media existed. Why would you watch a concert through a 4-inch screen? It proves to me that people want to live in the now and don't want to worry about the consequences of the future. I think societal norms are actually reducing the risks that we want to take. We're all familiar with posting on social media about the fabulous time that we're having, when really we're not. There's no way we want to tell our friends that we're taking risks and failing. That's just not what happens. So I think the problem we're seeing with the young people of today is that you don't want to take risks. The thing is, though, if you take risks early in your career and your life, you can be far more successful. And this is a subject called the prospect theory. I want to prove to you that it works by, again, using one of my own examples to show how when I took risks early in my career, it landed me here on the red dot today. Let's go back to 1992 when I was studying engineering in South Australia, around the same time as the speaking competition. A whole lot of posters went up around my university explaining this new building that was going to be built for research and invited students to come to an information session. To my surprise, I was the only student in a campus of 5,000 that turned up. The only one that took a risk, the only one that stepped outside my comfort zone. After the talk from Professor Mike Miller, I spoke to him. I said, Professor Miller, you're going to need students, aren't you, to work in this research facility? Absolutely, make an appointment in my office and we can talk about it. So I made that appointment. I ended up working in the research building for 2 years while I was studying full-time, and that got me to Sydney to work for one of the companies that I'd been researching for. So by taking risks early in my career, I got myself here to the red dot today. Those of you familiar with engineering might know about a thing called the noise floor. The noise floor is the lowest signal that you can measure. And if we're quiet for a moment in this room, we can hear the noise floor of this room. It's a bit like the group of people in front of me. You all look exactly the same. I want one of you to rise above the noise floor, to stand out, but you don't need to do it in a crazy way. You need to do it in a way that will attract the attention to show that you're the smartest person in the room. I'm hoping, though, that we're also thinking about how we deal with our online and offline personalities. Is this a familiar sight to you? You're out with your friends and you're all on your phones. You're not experiencing those people around you. You're talking to people that didn't invest time being with you there and then. And that, I think, is a tragedy. Facebook recently released a survey saying that young people check their phones up to 157 times a day. Some of you maybe even more. That's 157 times that you're not available for that next opportunity. That's 157 times you're not thinking about how you can further your life and your career. That's 157 times you're not available to someone who might be able to mentor you through your career. You have a choice. You have a choice to stay in the present and not take any risks. Or you can rise above the noise floor, step outside your comfort zone and see what's next. When you leave this hall today, I want you to look up at the world, not down at your phone. Thank you.